Uh, Hello, can you hear me? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you? Is the screen visible? Screen दिख रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's get started then. Okay. So in the last class, we were basically trying to understand the properties of voltage transformers and current transformers. We have basically completed that. Maybe I will give you a tutorial class maybe next week or thereabouts. But for the moment, let's move on to the next topic, which is sequence components. It is, I think you probably have studied this in power system second. You know, the positive, negative, and sequence component modeling of power systems. It is extremely important for setting these relays and basically designing the various algorithms that we use for power system protection. Um, yeah, so we shall have a brief recap of what you have already studied. Maybe there are a few topics that would be new, but by and large, it is just a quick recapitulation of what you have already studied in power system second, namely sequence component modeling of power systems. So let's not waste time and move directly to the topic. Now, first of all, why do we need to study sequence components? Basically, it is for calculation of fault current. We know that there are different kinds of faults in a power system. The three most important ones are uh, single line to ground fault, double line to ground fault, line to line fault, and obviously the fourth one, in fact, the most important one is three phase to ground fault. With the exception of three phase to ground fault, almost all other fault calculations require the sequence component modeling. Um, why is that? The reason is the system becomes unbalanced. The moment the system becomes unbalanced, we can't go for a per phase equivalent calculation. We have to make more complicated calculations. Actually, nowadays, we can go directly for three phase current calculation and all that because we have a variety of software that is available. In the olden days, maybe before 1980s or thereabouts, because the software capability of most computers was quite limited, we do not have dedicated software, for example, for the calculation of fault currents of industry-wide power systems. Uh, Reliance on these sequence components was essential. We could not deal without them. Nowadays, if you want to make a fault calculation, I mean, it's you don't need a paper and pencil. You just need to input the system data into some software program, uh, create some kind of a virtual fault or something, and the software program can calculate the fault currents and so on and so forth, voltage distributions and power flows and reactive power requirements by itself, without any direct manual calculation being required. The importance of sequence components has not lessened. The reason is that even though nowadays we have sophisticated software available, we still in many cases use these sequence components as a filtering mechanism. What is a filtering mechanism? Whenever there is a fault in a power system, there are many things that a power system operator has to do. Obviously, you have to operate the relays and see that your devices are protected and so on and so forth. But you're equally interested in the kind of the fault. So is the fault a single phase to ground fault? Is it a double line to ground fault? Is it an open conductor fault? You can have a variety of faults. Um, it is there that by looking at the sequences of the sequence components rather of the voltages and the currents that we can infer many things about the nature of the fault. Is that clear? So it is a kind of a filter, a kind of a virtual filter that is still nowadays used. It is especially important in setting these relays. Um, we shall see, inshallah, in the coming lectures that especially when we look at more practical systems, we have to, many of these practical systems are incredibly dependent upon the sequence components that can be obtained from the given kind of fault. Um so, uh, how is the, I mean, how does the fault current originate in a power system? We have a large number of sources. Actually, this list is, I mean, it's not arranged in some in any order. Actually, the most important one is obviously synchronous machines. Even today, if you look at, say, India's power system, 95% of the power generation, I think it's somewhat lessened of late, it still comes from synchronous machines. So the most important source of fault, especially on a transmission network, is a synchronous machine. Then we have these synchronous motors and condensers as well. What is a synchronous motor? It is basically a synchronous machine which is operated as a motor. What is a condenser? Anyone? कोई कह सकता है? What is a synchronous condenser? Shabash.
Leading load पे operate हुए supply leading.
Yeah. It is basically a motor which we operate without load, and we operate it in a overexcited mode. And therefore, we are typically have to inject reactive power. We can also extract reactive power from a power system. It is used for voltage control. Anyway, a condenser is basically another term for capacitor. ठीक है? खाली अगर आप condenser सुनोगे, it is a capacitor. In power systems, we typically call capacitors condensers. It is because of historical reasons. And normally when we use the word capacitor, or we simply use the word cap, we are talking about devices with very small ratings. But if you look at the capacitors that are typically used in power systems, the ratings of reactive power ratings can be in megavar. Is that clear? So that is the reason for the different nomenclature. These are synchronous capacitors. They're not actually capacitors, but they can perform the function of a capacitor in that they can supply reactive power. Then we have induction machines. This is increasingly becoming very important because nowadays there is a worldwide thrust towards wind energy. Okay. So even in India, a greater fraction of the energy production is coming from wind and other renewable sources. And in wind energy, the most efficient generator that we can use is this induction generator. Why is it efficient? Because the wind is not a constant, it keeps on fluctuating. If I use a synchronous machine is a constant speed machine because the relationship between electrical frequency and mechanical speed is fixed. It's given by this equation. Electrical frequency is equal to P by 2 times mechanical frequency or mechanical speed. So if the number of poles which are typically fixed and the frequency is also fixed at 50 hertz, the mechanical speed has to be more or less constant for this equation to be true. And therefore, it's very difficult to vary the speed of a synchronous machine, especially a synchronous machine connected to a grid. On the other hand, if you know anything about an induction generator, it has a characteristic like this. So this is like this. ठीक है? Oops. This is a motoring mode and this is the generating mode. ठीक है? This is increasing speed. As you can see, for different values of speed, the torque can be produced. In fact, we can operate it normally from this point to this point. This is the theoretical mode of operation. Here it operates as a motor, and here it will operate as a generator. If we typically we use induction generators because the speed can be varied. Anyway, this is the characteristic of what is known as a squirrel cage induction generator. If you have wound rotor induction generator, the characteristics are even more interesting. But anyway, we will not go into that. This is increasingly becoming important. Okay? In the olden days, maybe before 1990s or maybe before 2000, in fact, the most important source of fault was induction motor. Because if you look at industries, I would not say most, but especially if you count the number of motors, say if you have 1,000 motors in industry, maybe 900 are induction motors. Okay? So whenever there is a fault, even the induction motor can contribute to the current. Okay? Then we have local generation, increasingly important. We have, for example, in our homes, you would have seen that a large number of us have installed these PV panels at the top of our roofs and all that. If there is a fault, even this PV panel can contribute to the fault. At the moment, the contribution is very small, but it's increasingly becoming important. Okay? So, but for the most part, we shall be confining our attention to the classical power system in which these three things are important. Okay? We shall not typically look at this. Okay, so let us move on to sequence components itself. A brief historical background. This was introduced by an engineer by the name of Fortescue. I think he was an American in 1918, so it is more than 100 years old. So the basic idea is any three-phase unbalanced system can be represented by by three balanced single-phase networks. I will explain that. So we have any triplet of phasors, ठीक है, we can consider that triplet to be formed by the superposition of a positive sequence triplet, a negative sequence triplet, and a zero sequence triplet. So let us look at what are positive sequence components. This is equation. So let us look at the phasor diagram. This is what is known as a positive sequence triplet of three vectors or three phasors. As you can see, A is leading B by 120 degrees, B is leading C by 120 degrees, and C is leading A by 120 degrees. So this is what is also known as ABC sequence. ठीक है, A lead करता है B को, B lead करता है C को, and C lead करता है A को. We also can also have ACB sequence, what is also known as negative sequence component. So as you can see here, A is leading B, C, and C is leading B. So this is known as ACB. It is also known as negative sequence component, or rather, the word that we use is negative sequence component. And then we have zero sequence. Zero sequence means that they're all three are in phase. So we have all three have equal magnitude. So these magnitudes are equal and they have equal phase. Phase is 0 degree for reference. So combining them, I will go directly to the equation which you probably have studied in power system second. These are any three phasors, VA, VB, VC. We are not imposing any conditions on these. These can be written as a superposition of these sequence voltages. So the transformation, it's what is known as a linear transformation. Any transformation which is obtained by matrix multiplication is known as a linear transformation. So this is written in matrix form. The transformation matrix is T. As you can see, it is a very interesting matrix. The first row as well as the first column is composed of ones. And then you have the second row, which has an A square A and AA square. What is A? It is basically this complex number, 1 at an angle of 120 degrees. Okay? In fact, let me draw it for your reference. Okay. So basically, if you look at these three quantities, 1, A square, these are known as cube roots of unity. ठीक है, आपने पढ़ा होगा maybe class 11th in something में. So if I look at a complex plane, and if I draw a, अच्छा नहीं बन गया, यहाँ पे से start करते हैं. This is a unit circle. ठीक है, this is unit circle. Unit circle का मतलब है radius is 1. So if I let me use green here. This is 1, obviously. This is A, and this is A square. Okay, so okay, this is 1, this is A, and then we have A square. Okay, so as you can see for yourself, all these angles are 120 degrees. So this angle is 120, this angle is 120, all these angles are 120 degrees. A leads 1 by 120 degrees, the yellow phasor, while the red phasor, which is basically A square, leads the yellow phasor by 120 degrees. In turn, it lags the green phasor, which is basically 1 by 120 degrees. Okay, so there are some interesting properties which let's revise them. We have any of these. Let's assume I will use the word omega. Omega can be 1, it can be A, it can be A square, because these are cube roots of unity. Omega raised to power 3 is always equal to 1. Okay, we can confirm it from a manual calculation as well. So for example, if I look at A is 1 at an angle of 120 degrees. If I raise to power 3, 1 raised to power 3 is 1. This raised to power 3 किसके बराबर है? angle of 120 raised to power 3. What is its value? Shabash. Sorry?
1 at an angle
1 at an angle of
360 degrees.
360. ये angles 120 का क्या मतलब है? It is basically this e raised to power j 120. ठीक है, इसको आप raised to power कर रहे हो 3. So it will be e raised to power j 120 ज़रबे 3 कितना हो गया? 360 degree. 360 degree is the same as 0. Okay, 360 degree means you have started from this point and you have reached again the positive real axis. So it is basically equal to, okay, it is again equal to e raised to power j0, which obviously equal to 1. So from this we can write immediately that a cube is equal to 1. The same is true for a square cube, because a square cube is obviously a cube raised to power 2, so it will be 1 raised to power 1, so that is 1 raised to power 2, that is 1 again. Another thing that you can see is what is the conjugate of a? Shabash.
A square.
Yeah, it is a square. Conjugate का क्या मतलब होता है? अगर आप यहाँ देखोगे, let us look at this point. We have this, we have the same real part, ठीक है, and imaginary parts are equal and opposite. So this here is positive while here it is negative. ठीक है, so a and a square are mutually conjugate. In the same way, a square का conjugate is equal to a. ठीक है, if I conjugate both sides. So that was a brief recap of the properties of cube roots of unity. Let's go back to this. So if you look at this matrix 1 1 1 1 a square 1 a 1 a square whatever. Okay, if you write it in matrix form, you can always go for inversion. So if VABC, this vector is this matrix T times VA0 1 2, we can always invert this, and this is, by the way, this is T inverse. Oops. Look at the structure of T inverse. It is basically obtained from the original matrix. This is the original matrix. What we do is we basically conjugate the original matrix. Conjugation only works on complex numbers. So the real numbers 1 1 1 1 1 1, they are unaffected. A square conjugate है A का conjugate है A square, A का conjugate है A square, and finally A square का conjugate है A. We also have to divide by 1 by 3. ठीक है, so I will not go into ये क्यों है ऐसा. You can maybe look up any book on power systems where this is, where the derivations etc. are given. So okay, so there are some properties which are very interesting. Is the first one is that this is linear. Linear का मतलब है actually ये बाकी blah 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 है. Main चीज में है there is no loss of information in either domain. In other words, if I give you the this is, by the way, obvious from these two equations. If I give you the zero sequence values, you can immediately calculate the actual values VAABC. ठीक है, by basically multiplying by this matrix. As you can see, this matrix is a constant. It does not depend on any voltage or current. In the same way, if I give you the actual value of voltages, you can always calculate the zero sequence and negative and positive sequence values, the sequence component values, by multiplying it by the inverse. So in either direction, there is no loss of information. ऐसा नहीं होता है कि अगर आपको मैंने VABC दिया, आप मतलब let's assume positive negative sequence निकाल सकते हो, and you may not be able to find out, say, the zero sequence value. That is not possible. This is a invertible transformation. Given sequence values, you can find voltages, and given voltages, you can find sequence values. In this respect, it is very similar to other linear transformations that you have studied. So for example, Laplace transform, it is a linear transformation. Fourier transform, it is a linear transformation, and so on and so forth. So almost all transformations that are interesting are linear. There are many exceptions obviously as well. So that is the importance of linearity. Okay. Okay, so let us look at some interesting examples. I don't know why he has kept it here. I will go to this directly. What are the advantages? When the network is balanced, it allows the decoupling of the network. So you have positive, negative, and zero sequence networks that you probably have constructed in power system second. We shall have a brief revision here as well. they are decoupled in that the current and voltages that are present in one network have only a indirect relation to the currents and voltages that are present in other network. They are not completely independent, but internally they are independent. ठीक है? It can be applied for balanced, unbalanced loads and so on and so forth. Actually, these are not very important nowadays. ये दो है हमारे पास. मैंने आपको कहा कि आजकल तो सॉफ्टवेयर आपके पास अवेलेबल है. You hardly ever, if ever, calculate faults by hand. Because it doesn't make any sense, especially the kind of networks that we have. Imagine you have a network, say you have the network size of even Kashmir's power system. You probably have maybe half a dozen or more important generating stations. You have thousands of kilometers of transmission lines connected in rather complicated manners, and you can have an infinite number of fault locations. ठीक है, मतलब fault यहाँ हो सकती है, श्रीनगर में हो सकती है, श्रीनगर में भी हो सकता है, हवा कदल में होगी, whatever. So you can basically, it's much easier to go for a software based solution, but obviously in examinations you are not allowed to use softwares. This is the most important one. Especially in zero sequence, this is still very important, because we shall see later on that zero sequence, whenever there is a zero sequence voltage or current, it is an indication to us that there is a fault somewhere to earth. Okay? You probably remember this as well from from what you have studied about the sequence networks and power systems. Second, that whenever there is a fault involving earth, that is to say the fault exists not only between phases but also between phase and ground, these zero sequence currents are always present. Okay? So these are typically used as an indication of the presence or absence of fault, of ground faults. Okay? By the way, I shall be using the term earth and ground interchangeably. Okay. So this is, let us start from the simplest kind of fault. This in fact does not require any sequence currents or anything. We have a three-phase to ground fault. We know that at any location, we can represent our network by a Thevenin equivalent. Okay? This is an open circuit voltage, also known as Thevenin voltage, and this is the equivalent Thevenin impedance. Let's call it Z1, जो भी आप कहना चाहते हो. So if there is a fault here, he has not drawn it properly. There is a fault, three-phase to ground fault, and the fault impedance of all phases is a constant equal to ZF. The fault current, if I apply KVL here, is obviously equal to voltage divided by net impedance. ठीक है, यहाँ इसने EA बोला, पता नहीं V क्यों यहाँ लिखा है, so anyway it should be EA. ठीक है. If I look at, because I have started with three-phase faults, the currents will be equal in magnitude in all phases, and they will obviously be positive sequence, because typically the system itself is positive sequence. We don't have negative sequence generators in a system. All the system generators that we connect are inherently positive sequence. This negative sequence, etc., only arises in the case of an unbalanced fault. Okay? Okay, so let's look at some problems. Okay? Hopefully you have your calculator, because I don't have a calculator. Can anyone solve this problem? I have been given three currents, IA, IB, IC, and I have to calculate the value of the positive, negative, and zero sequence currents. Okay? So maybe I will calculate only zero sequence. Maybe I will leave the other two calculations to you as an assignment. कैसे करते हैं calculate? शाबाश. We just have to use this equation. Sorry, these transformation equations. Okay. So given the value of the phasors, we can calculate the value of the sequence components by using this equation. So for example, if I look at the first row, these are only ones. So rows into columns will give me VA plus VB plus VC divided by 3 should give me the value of the zero sequence voltage or current, as the case may be. So if I want to calculate the value of the zero sequence component, I will call it, say, I0 A. इसके बराबर है, if I add these three currents and divide by 3, so 10 plus 11 minus 15, that is 21 minus 15, that is 6. Okay, 4 minus 9 is minus 5, minus 5 plus 9 is equal to 4. ठीक है? In the same manner, you can also calculate this positive, negative, zero sequence. खाली आपको a square से कुछ multiply करना है बाकी दो को. So I will leave that here. This is a reverse question that has been given to you. We have been given the zero sequence, positive sequence, and negative sequence values of voltages, and we have to calculate the value of the phasor VABC. The first thing, anyway, math तो आप खुद ही कर लोगे. The first thing that you would recognize is normally in an ideal system, this positive sequence quantity should be present, and these other two quantities should not be present. If either zero sequence is present or negative sequence is present, it means that system is not balanced. Okay. So what can we infer from this? If you look at the negative sequence voltage, it's very large. I mean, it's 150 is around kitna. It is approximately 70% of the positive sequence voltage. So the fault is pretty terrible. What is even more interesting is that a zero sequence voltage is also present, and it's also comparable to the to the positive sequence voltage, which is again very interesting. It probably hints that this is a single line to ground fault, which you can find out if you calculate, make the calculations and all that. Because the zero sequence voltage is present, this is a fault which involves ground. If zero sequence voltage was absent, the fault would not involve ground. So for example, it could be a phase-to-phase fault. Okay? So it is either a double line to ground fault, or maybe we have a single line to ground fault, or maybe the system itself is unbalanced. हमें पता नहीं है. So you can find out the value of VB/VC by using this equation. So for example, if I want to find out the value of VA, jaldi se, it is simply equal to 0 plus positive plus negative sequence. So कोई मुझे कह सकता है what is the value of VA here? You have to basically add these three voltages: zero sequence plus positive sequence plus negative sequence. Shabash. Anyone? Okay, this is zero sequence here. फिर उसके बाद है positive sequence is somewhere here. It is slightly larger than zero sequence. It is 30 degrees. And then we have okay, अगर ऐसे होगा 180, so it is somewhere here. This is negative sequence. शाबाश, जरा जल्दी बोलो मुझे इसका क्या वैल्यू है? I don't have a calci, otherwise I would have calculated by myself.
268.32.
268 point. Let's drop the second decimal
At an
place.
angle of minus 29.
Minus 29. ठीक है? Is this clear? ठीक है?
जी सर.
होना भी चाहिए ना, मतलब अगर आप roughly देखोगे, look at this V2, it is approximately opposite to V is not, because the phase angle is almost 180 degrees. So ये होगा लगभग 50 रहेगा. 50 आप ऐड करो 210 को, वो 260 ही होना चाहिए ना. So मतलब ऊपर नीचे थोड़ा हो रहा है, because they are not in phase. यहाँ पर -30 डिग्री पे है. So these are the kind of rapid calculations that you can use for basically confirming your solution. I will leave the other two calculations as an assignment or whatever. Okay, this is more important. Okay. We have a generator whose specifications have been given. Maybe it is also somewhere here. Once again. Okay, I will first of all take start with lecture 12, and maybe we can come back to this problem, because it basically uses per unit phase modeling. It also basically assumes that you know about single line to ground fault. So let us move here. Single sequence modeling of power system operators. The first part is basically a review of per unit calculations. एक second. ठीक है, अगर आप देखोगे, you look at the nameplate of any machine. It can be a transformer, it can be a circuit breaker, it can be a motor, a generator, anything. It always comes with a nameplate. The nameplate basically lists all the important properties of the machine. So, for example, if you take the example of a nameplate of a transformer, what are the things that you are likely to see on a nameplate of a transformer? It is basically the high voltage side rated voltage, low voltage side rated voltage. The rated megavolt amperes, that is to say the power rating of the transformer, the apparent power rating, the efficiency, all the efficiency of a transformer. It can also list, say, the sequence impedance voltage, जिसको हम कहते हैं ना series impedance voltage, जो आप निकालते हो short circuit test से. It can also give some indication of the open circuit test data as well. The rated temperature rise, the kind of oil that is used, the weight of the transformer, the dimension of the transformer, anything electrical as well as non-electrical information can be obtained from the nameplate. Let us confine our attention to electrical information. It is almost always given as a uh, on the rating as a base. So what is first of all, थोड़ा बहुत मैं revise करा लेता हूँ आपको per unit का. In per unit, we do not work with, normally if you have a circuit, our voltage has a unit of volts, our current has a unit of ampere, and our power has a unit of watt, and apparent power has a unit volt ampere. Okay? But in power systems, this is not a very convenient unit system of units to use. The reason being that the voltage is different at different points of a power system. So, for example, if you look at the transformer that is outside in your colony, in your wherever you are living, on the high voltage side, if I look at the line voltage is 11 kV. On the low voltage side, the line voltage is approximately 400 something volts. Okay, so look at the size of the jump. You are moving from 11 kV to 400 volts. Okay. Uh, Add to that the complexity of the transformer itself. So, for example, if you want to perform some kind of an electrical calculation in a network which has a large number of transformers, ideally speaking, we would like the transformers to disappear. We can always do that if we perform our operations in a per unit system. In which case, what we do is we say that on this side. So let's take the simple example of a transformer. We have a transformer. This is a three-phase transformer, but I am only showing a single-phase equivalent. Okay. For the sake of simplicity, I am taking a ideal transformer. So on this side, the rated voltage is 11 kV. On this side, the rated voltage is maybe 400 volts. Transformer rating is typically given as well. Let's assume it is, take any value. Let's assume it is, कितना है? Let's assume it is 500 kVA. Okay? It is a fairly large distribution transformer. Normally, distribution transformers, especially in Kashmir, are somewhat smaller usually. But anyway, so we basically, instead of working with voltages in volts, currents in amperes, and so on and so forth, and I had forgotten something, impedance as a unit of ohm. We instead work in the per unit system in which we define a voltage base and a power base, and from that we can infer the value of other bases. So on the HV side, I will take, usually the convention is to take the voltage itself. So 11 kV is the base. On the LV side, 400 volt is the base. Okay? And on the power base has to be common on both sides. It can't be different, otherwise the equations won't be valid. It is a common value equal to 500 kVA. So शाबाश, कोई मुझे कह सकता है impedance base किसके बराबर है on the HV side? शाबाश, जल्दी बोलो ना. अरे आपने 1000 बार पावर सिस्टम में अभी तक क्या कर रहे हो फिर? Am I audible? No, good, disconnect. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
जल्दी बोलो ना, यहाँ पर impedance base की फॉर्मूला क्या होती है? Given voltage base and power base, apparent power base. हाँ, it is voltage base square, so it will be 11 kV का square. ठीक है? Remember, I'm talking about three-phase network. So this is three-phase power. This is line voltage divided by power का base क्या होता है? 500 kVA. जल्दी बोलो ये किसके बराबर है? Someone please tell me. So as you can see, k square will become mega, k and k कट जाएगा. So this will be 11,000 divided by 500. Sorry, 11,000 नहीं, 121,000 divided by 500. तो जल्दी बोलो किसके बराबर है ये? जल्दी बोलो.
242.
It will be, yeah, it will be 242. ठीक है, ohms. What about on this side? It is
Yes, sir.
I'm so sorry. ये पता नहीं नेट को कुछ हो गया है. I've used some other account. Let me try to share the screen again. Okay, present entire screen. Okay. Can you see this?
No,
Hello?
sir. No, sir.
Isn't my screen visible?
No, sir.
I don't know what's happened. I'm sharing my screen. I don't know what's happened. Like, अच्छा ठहरो इसको थोड़ा time लग रहा है. You are presenting your screen. अब दिखेगा. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. अब आ गया.
Okay. So let us continue from where we had left. So please tell me the value of the low voltage impedance. जल्दी बोलो.
3.2.
3.2 ohms. So ये होना भी चाहिए ना, मतलब अगर आपके पास high voltage है, you can obviously supply a larger value of impedance and therefore the base value of impedance is larger. Here the base value of impedance is substantially lower. ठीक है? So once we make these transformations, if we plug in this value of base value of power and this is the base value of impedance. How do you calculate the base value of current? Typically we don't use it, but we can always calculate it again. It is given by this equation. Base value of current is equal to three-phase base value of power. In this case, it is 500 kVA divided by root 3 times base value of line voltage. Okay, as you can see, because the line voltage is different on different sides, the base value of current will be different on different sides. Okay, so once we basically plug it, make this transformation, our network basically becomes simplified. It basically is like this. There is no transformer. Okay, transformer disappears. Once we calculate the value of voltage and current, we can always go back to the actual value of voltage, current, power, as the case may be, by going for an inverse transformation. Okay, so if we calculate the value of current on a per unit value, we just have to multiply it by the corresponding base value of current and we shall obtain the actual value of current in amperes. And similarly for calculation of impedance and power and whatever. Okay, so let's go back to this where we had left. So this range for acceptable per unit values can be easily fixed. So for example, what does that mean? So if you look at a transformer nameplate rating, if I look at a typical power transformer, there is in a practical power transformer, there is always a series impedance like this. Okay? There is also a shunt impedance. Okay? The shunt impedance is ideally speaking infinity, and the series impedance ideally speaking is an ideal value is equal to 0. It is a short circuit ideally. So any deviation from short circuit is as far as I would say it's not non-ideal, but it basically tells us how does the actual transformer differ from an ideal transformer. Okay? On a per unit basis, I mean the actual value of this impedance can be different as if I refer it from the high voltage side or if I refer to the low voltage side, because the base value of impedance is different. Okay? But if I work with this per unit values, I can make an intelligent assessment about the quality of the transformer. So for example, typical value of the series impedance can be something like this. It can be say 10%. Okay? It can be say 6%. Okay? Because the moment we work in per unit, we don't have to talk in terms of voltage, current, ohms, whatever. We can speak in terms of numbers or we can quote it in terms of percentage. 10% का मतलब है 0.1 is the per unit value. Okay? So both these numbers are, as you can see, these are far away from 100%, and therefore they are very close to a short circuit. Similarly, if I look at this shunt impedance, it is very large, so it can be say 1000%. Okay, it can be 2000%. It is some such large number compared to the 1%. 100% means you are basically seeing an impedance if you refer to the high voltage side of 242 ohms, or if you take the same impedance on the LV side, you are seeing an impedance of 3.2 ohms. So if I look at this impedance and refer it to the LV side, 10% of 3.2 is 0.32 ohms. That is the value of impedance that I will measure if I, for example, perform a short circuit test and use voltmeter, ammeter. Okay. So it gives us an ability to make an intelligent assessment of the range of values. The same is true for voltage. So for example, the voltage normally here is 11 kV, and normally we would expect the voltage to be 400 volts, but we can't compare these two voltages. ये नहीं है कि 400 volt यहाँ abnormal है. Normal value voltage here is 400 volts. But instead of working with two voltages, we can simply say that normally one would expect a voltage of 1 per unit throughout. ठीक है, ideal situation is 1 per unit. In practice, obviously, the voltages are different depending upon the loading conditions and the reactive power flows and so on and so forth. Any deviation from 1 per unit, typically speaking, it is not acceptable. It is something to be avoided usually. So it will again allow us to make a intelligent assessment of the state of the network, state of the power system by looking at the per unit values. Okay, so yeah, I have already explained this. And these formula we have already seen. So let us look at modeling of different networks. Unless otherwise stated, all the voltages, all the impedances, etc., are in per unit. Okay, same is true for currents and so on and so forth. Let's look at a three-phase transmission line. If you look at an actual three-phase transmission line, there are basically three phases. Okay, this is phase A, this is phase B, and this is phase C. Every line has a self-impedance. There is also a mutual impedance. The reason is if there is a current flow in, for example, phase B, it produces a magnetic field. That magnetic field will also link phase A. It will also link phase B. As long as whenever you have a phase, you have a magnetic field linkage, you have a mutual impedance. In this case, I'm assuming that the mutual impedances are the same, equal to Zm and Zm. In practice, obviously, the mutual impedances can be slightly different, but in at least for preliminary calculations, we can assume that they are the same. By the way, why are they different? Because let's go. You look at an actual transmission line. It is not made like this. ऐसा नहीं होता है कि एक phase यहाँ है, दूसरा phase यहाँ है. ये तो symmetrical आपके पास transmission line होगी. That doesn't happen. In practice, you have a transmission which is something like this. All the three phases are either mounted vertically, or all the three phases are mounted. These are horizontally, or they're all mounted vertically. Okay. So, for example, let's assume this is phase A. Let's assume this is phase B, and let's assume this is phase C. Look at if there is a current flow in phase B. So there is a current flow here. This current will produce a magnetic flux that will link phase A, and it will also link phase B, phase C. So if you look at the situation, because the distance between B and C and the distance between A and B is the same, the mutual impedance between A and B and the mutual impedance between B and C is the same. But if you look at the mutual impedance between, say, phase A and phase C, look at the separation, it is twice as much. So one would expect the mutual impedance to be substantially smaller. Okay? On the other hand, if I look at this system here, all the three phases are equidistant. They are present at the vertices of an equilateral triangle. Here the mutual impedances are the same. So in actually हमें यहाँ पर ना तीन impedances का value लिखना था in the general case. But for the sake of simplicity, let's assume they are same. Once you write down the equations, any voltage drop is equal to self drop. Self drop is given by self impedance times current. So if I look at voltage drop in line A, this is given by self impedance. S is S for self times its own current IA times plus mutual impedance. This is mutual impedance Zm times current flowing in phase B plus Zm times current flowing in phase C, and you can correspondingly construct the overall matrix. Once you make this transformation, ठीक है, आप ये वो क्या नाम है इसका, वो सब लगाते हो. Let me show you the final expression. This is, by the way, यहाँ नहीं है ये. This is the equations governing the system network in the positive, negative, and zero sequence networks. The first thing that you will observe is that the zero sequence voltage, the negative sequence, sorry, this is positive sequence and negative sequence voltage. यहाँ पर भी 1 लिखा है, there should be 2. Okay, they are related to the zero sequence, positive sequence, and this is negative. यहाँ ऊपर नीचे हो गया. But anyway, the negative sequence currents by another linear transformation. Linear transformation is any transformation obtained by multiplication of matrices. But look at the structure of the matrix. It is a diagonal matrix. The original matrix was not diagonal. अगर आप इस matrix की तरफ देखोगे ना, इसमें off diagonal terms भी है. So off diagonal term का क्या मतलब है? This voltage was dependent not only on IA, it was also dependent on IB and IC. But whenever you have a diagonal matrix, zero sequence voltage is only dependent on zero sequence current. Positive sequence voltage is only dependent on positive sequence current, and negative sequence voltage is only dependent on negative sequence current. ये वही है जो आपको मैं कह रहा था, there is a decoupling of the networks. Zero sequence voltage is only dependent on I0 because ये जो बाकी दो terms हैं, these are zero. Zero into anything is zero. ठीक है? So जिनने थोड़ा बहुत math पढ़ा होगा, ये जो diagonal terms होते हैं, इनको हम कहते हैं eigen values. So if you look at the original matrix, it has these three eigenvalues. In fact, there are two are repeated: Zs minus Zm, Zs minus Zm. Look at the first eigenvalue, which corresponds to the zero sequence impedance, because यहाँ पर row है corresponding to zero sequence, and the column also corresponds to zero sequence. Here we have an addition. Here we had subtraction. Okay. So this zero sequence impedance is typically much larger compared to the positive sequence and negative sequence impedances. In this particular case, negative and positive sequence impedance of a transmission line are the same. Zero sequence impedance is substantially larger. Typically, it may be 3 to 5 times the positive and negative sequence impedance, which is a very important thing. इसका मतलब क्या है? जो आपकी transmission line होती है, it will oppose the flow of zero sequence currents much more powerfully than it will oppose the flow of positive and negative sequence currents. वैसा क्यों है? मतलब वो यहाँ पर physical इसका explanation दिया हुआ है. Anyway, okay, let's drop this mutual coupling and all that. Let's go directly to this network. Because if you look at a network like this, कहाँ गया वो? मैंने बनाया था कहीं पर. Oh, अच्छा वो यहाँ है. Okay. So if you have a network like this, if you have all currents that are flowing in the same direction, ठीक है? This current is dot, this current is dot, this current is dot. There is considerable amount of mutual repulsion. ठीक है? Sorry, mutual attraction and all that. These fluxes have a tendency to basically oppose each other. So for example, if you look at the flux here, because of this dot, it will be like this. And because of this dot, it will be like this. So net flux आपका ना मतलब एक दूसरे को oppose कर रहा है यहाँ पर. Anyway, we'll not spend time here and going to the details. So the next one is, okay, we have modeling of a transformer. We have already seen that. Basically, there are different types of transformers and there are different modeling circuits. This is what is known as a core type transformer. There is also a shell form transformer. So again, just like in the case of a transmission network, the zero sequence, the positive and negative sequence properties of a transformer are identical. Unki impedances same hoti hai. The same is not true, by the way, for a zero sequence behavior. So let us try to understand what will happen here. I'm so sorry. ठीक है, ये हमारे पास है एक कोर फ्रॉम ट्रांसफार्मर. इसके 3 लिम्स होते हैं. उसके ऊपर हमने वाइंडिंग्स लगा के रखी होती हैं. सो फॉर एग्जांपल, दिस लिम्ब कैरीज द प्राइमरी एंड सेकेंडरी वाइंडिंग ऑफ फेज ए, दिस लिम्ब मिडिल लिम्ब कैरीज द प्राइमरी सेकेंडरी वाइंडिंग ऑफ फेज बी, and this limb carries the primary and secondary winding of phase C. ठीक है? So अब आप मुझे कोई बोल सकता है. So for example, let's assume I'm exciting them with there is I am applying basically zero sequence voltages. So जो आपके पास on the high voltage side or equivalently on the low voltage side, I am doing this. All the voltages are the same. ठीक है? All the voltages same का मतलब है they are zero sequence. What will happen? Flux will be produced in this limb, flux will be produced in this limb, flux will be produced in this limb. Because voltages are the same, I would expect the fluxes to have an equal magnitude. ठीक है? They should also be in phase. On the other hand, if I look at this point, outside this, let's assume that this iron is ideal. Iron अगर ideal है, all the flux is confined to the iron. ये जो बाहर आपके पास है ना, ये air है और ये इसकी tank है. ठीक है? इनफैक्ट यहाँ पर एयर नहीं होगा, ऑयल होगा, बट एनीवे इट इज अ नॉन मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल. फ्लक्स आई एम अज्यूमिंग कांट लीक आउट. I will basically modify that assumption in a moment. But if I look at this point, there is an incoming flux, there is an incoming flux, there is an incoming flux. The net incoming flux will obviously be equal to phi A plus phi B plus phi C. ठीक है? That is obviously equal to 0 in this case. The reason is there is no outgoing path available. ये flux यहाँ leak out नहीं हो सकता है because I am assuming iron is ideal. अगर iron ideal है, वो अपने बाहर flux को नहीं जाने देगा. Is that clear? because all the fluxes were also equal to begin with, I can simply write 3 times phi A, which will also be equal to 3 times phi B or phi C. This is also equal to 0. In other words, there is no flux in the machine. Is this clear? If there is no flux in the machine, इसका अगर आप देखोगे, इसका behavior क्यों ऐसा है? I will again repeat. The behavior is because we have not provided any path for the zero sequence to flux to flow. अगर ये तीनों fluxes same हैं, ये zero ही हो सकती हैं तीनों की तीनों. For them to be non-zero, they have to be either positive sequence or negative sequence. ठीक है? So in practice क्या होता है अगर ये configuration है? You are applying a zero sequence voltages. ये जो आपका flux है ना, ये leak out होता है. It will basically close its path like this. ठीक है? Like this and like this. The flux moves out of the core and then it also flows through the tank. जो आपके पास non-magnetic steel की बनी होती है ना, उसमें भी आपके पास flux produce होता है. अगर flux produce होगा, flux remember is oscillating at a frequency of 50 hertz. It will also induce eddy currents in these क्या नाम है इसका tanks. जब eddy currents flow होती है tank के अंदर, उसमें heating हो सकती है. हीटिंग हो सकती है. इनफैक्ट प्रैक्टिकली भी ऐसा होता है कभी कभी कि अगर आपकी कोर फॉर्म ट्रांसफर ऐसा इस्तेमाल करोगे, उसमें ये बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम होती है कि चूंकि फ्लक्स आपका लीक आउट होता है इनटू द टैंक्स, एडी करंट हीटिंग कैन बी सो लार्ज दैट इवन द प्लेट, जो आपका टैंक के ऊपर प्लेट होता है, इट कैन फ्लेक ऑफ बिकॉज द टेम्परेचर राइज टू सच अ लार्ज एक्सटेंट. इज दैट क्लियर? ठीक है. सो बेसिकली इफ यू लुक एट दिस नेटवर्क, it will behave like an open circuit. ठीक है. Impedance is infinitely large because it will not allow any flux. उसका मतलब है Biot-Savart law के तहत it will not allow any current to flow. ठीक है. Current incoming is zero. Biot-Savart law कहता है flux is proportional to current. If there is no flux, I am assuming again an ideal case where the flux does not leak out. The zero sequence impedance is infinitely large. In practice, it is very large. ठीक है, क्योंकि कुछ ना कुछ flux आपका टैंक के थ्रू जाएगा. If you compare that to this network, ठीक है, ये आपके पास है शेल फॉर्म ट्रांसफार्मर. इसमें हमारे पास 5 लिब्स होते हैं. So if all these fluxes phi A, phi B and phi C are basically zero sequence, at this point they can divide into two parts. There is a path for return. A flux can come back from here. Flux can also come back from here. The flux does not need to go back into this क्या नाम है इसका, into क्या कहते हैं इसको, into the network. ठीक है. So the zero sequence impedance is very, I mean it's very different from the zero sequence impedance that we have seen there, जो हमारे पास original network था ना. So moral of the story is, even though one would expect the positive sequence and negative sequence impedances of both the core and the shell form to be roughly same, assuming many assumptions, zero sequence behavior is completely different. ठीक है. So anyway, यहाँ detail में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Another complication is obtained because we typically in many cases go for different kinds of connections of our transformers. So for example, we can have a 3-phase transformer like this. Even if we have a 3-phase transformer, we have individual phase connections. So for example, ये winding A है, उसकी secondary है, winding B है, उसकी secondary है, winding C है, उसकी secondary है. उनको आप different connections लगा सकते हो. How many connections do we have? We can have a delta connection. ठीक है, ये आपके पास है, इसको हम कहते हैं star delta connection. We have a ground star delta connection. We have a delta delta connection. We have other connections as well. This is grounded star grounded star. This is reactance grounded. This is ungrounded. ये कभी use नहीं होता है. This is ungrounded. ये कभी use नहीं होता है. ये भी ungrounded है, ये कभी use नहीं होता है. In practice, we typically use this connection. ठीक है, हम ये करते हैं, ये वाला use कभी कभी, not very commonly. This is also not very commonly used. Delta delta is not very commonly used. This is used star star connection. This is also used reactance grounded star connection. This is not used. ठीक है, this is not used and this is not used. ठीक है. In practice जब भी हम ट्रांसफार्मर कनेक्शन जोड़ते हैं, हमको ग्राउंडिंग जरूरी होती है. If we don't have a ground connection, zero sequence current can't flow because remember, zero sequence का मतलब है this current and this current, they are equal in magnitude. They are also equal in phase. So अगर आप इन तीनों को ऐड करोगे, IA plus IB plus IC will get 3 times zero sequence current. That zero sequence current has to flow into ground. So if there is no ground connection available, zero sequence current can't flow. So यहाँ पर वही दिखाया गया है. अगर आप इस वाले नेटवर्क को देखोगे, look at it from the पॉजिटिव सीक्वेंस साइड, सॉरी फ्रॉम द वाई नेटवर्क साइड, वाई के साइड पे जीरो सीक्वेंस करंट के लिए पाथ अवेलेबल है. On the other hand, if I look at it from the delta side, there is no path available for the zero sequence, because आप यहाँ देखो, this is A, B and C, तीनों की तीनों अगर इनकमिंग होगी, आउटगोइंग तो पाथ ही अवेलेबल मत है. रिमेंबर ये दो ट्रांसफॉर्मर, दे आर मैग्नेटिकली, जो हमारी वाइंडिंग्स होती हैं, दे आर मैग्नेटिकली सेपरेट, ठीक है, दे आर नॉट इलेक्ट्रिकली कपल्ड, दे आर मैग्नेटिकली कपल्ड. सो KCL still has to hold true. The same is true for this network. अगर आप इस नेटवर्क की तरफ देखोगे, only the zero sequence impedance is modified on the Y side, delta side is still open. Delta is not used in practice, but as you can see for yourself, zero sequence current can't flow on the H side, it can't flow on the L side. In this case, again, both zero, क्या नाम है, ये जो आपके पास zero sequence current है, it can flow on both sides. So in this case also it can flow on both sides. There is no open circuit. In this case, obviously on the H side, we would expect it can flow from the H side. एंड फ्रॉम द एल साइड हम एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे फ्लो नहीं होगा, बट इनफैक्ट यहाँ पर क्या नाम है इसका, एच साइड पे करंट फ्लो नहीं होगी. व्हाट इज द रीजन फॉर दैट? अगेन इट्स वेरी सिंपल. अगर फॉर एग्जांपल एल साइड पे कोई जीरो सीक्वेंस करंट फ्लो नहीं हो सकती है, बिकॉज यहाँ पर कोई आउटगोइंग पाथ अवेलेबल नहीं है. ये जो आपके पास एच साइड पे करंट है, इट इज बेसिकली ये वाली करंट, खाली इसको हमने कुछ स्केल किया होगा. लेट्स अज्यूम फॉर द सेक ऑफ सिंपलिसिटी इट इज 1:1 ट्रांसफार्मर. व्हेनेवर वी वर्क इन पर यूनिट वी ऑलवेज यूज 1:1 ट्रांसफार्मर, ठीक है. तो यहाँ पर जो करंट है सेम वो करंट है, यहाँ पर जो करंट है सेम वो करंट है, यहाँ पर जो करंट है सेम वो करंट है. अगर ऑन दिस साइड द सम इज जीरो, ऑन दिस साइड द सम इज आल्सो जीरो. So if you have a star connection and you keep even one side ungrounded, it's as good as keeping both ungrounded, ठीक है, क्योंकि कोई भी जीरो सीक्वेंस करंट फ्लो नहीं हो सकती है. यहाँ पर भी अगर आप देखोगे there is no grounding connection, so no zero sequence current, no zero sequence current, ये यूज नहीं होता है. In practice we never use ungrounded transformers. Because what is the reason for that? It basically leaves up at least one point in a system which is floating. So for example, if I look at this network, what is the potential of this point, ये neutral जो है with respect to ground? I don't know. ठीक है, it depends upon the current configuration. मतलब इसमें balanced है, unbalanced है, current कितनी flow हो रही है, transient है कि कोई नहीं है. So in many cases, especially under fault conditions, this neutral to ground potential can be very large. If it's so large that this insulation can break down, if this insulation breaks down, तो आपकी जो सारा ट्रांसफर है ना वो जल भी सकता है. So in practice कभी ऐसा नहीं होता है कि आप देखोगे ungrounded systems. I think I'm out of time. Please revise this. This is again present in any book of power system second, sequence modeling of transformers. मैं जल्दी इस पे जा रहा हूँ because I'm assuming ये आपने पढ़ा है, ठीक है. So inshallah in the next class we'll take the study the revise the sequence modeling of a synchronous machine and solve a few numericals. Any questions? कोई सवाल है? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay, I will take that as a no. So inshallah we shall meet in the next class. ठीक है.